Well, hello everybody. This is the face behind the videos you've been seeing on the internet. And if you've not seen those videos, I'm giving you an epic side eye, like, what are you doing? But I have a bunch of points because I feel there's a need to actually be in front of the cameras without, there's a lot of interviews that they're going to be coming your way, but I think the beautiful thing is that you get to see the story behind it. So I'm just gonna walk you through like a couple of points, because I think there's there are videos online that says, there are pictures online that says what I ordered on Amazon, what I saw on Amazon versus when I ordered versus what I got, right? The dress, what I ordered on Temu. No shade to Temu though. What I ordered on Temu versus what I got. What I ordered on Shein versus what I got. So it is a very fun journey of like having to talk to people. And I think for me, when I come out in an interview or I have an idea in mind, I always think of like 10 interviews. I'm going to have 10 amazing interviews. Now, are you going to get 10 on a good day? Probably not. And if you get 10 on a good day, that's like amazing accomplishment. But some days if you get 2, you're just like so grateful to God. You're technically in high spirits because people are busy, people have different things going on, and a lot of the videos that I filmed was done during finals. Now, finals week is mainly like people are preparing for exams, people are putting together their final project, people are busy. So if they stop for you, they're already looking at their watch saying, I'm gonna just spare 5 minutes. So I'm gonna start with, because I have my points listed out, so I'm just gonna be talking and then looking back on my phone. So that's an introduction of like what the journey has been through. So first of all, I would like to say my name. My name is Chiwendu. So it's spelled 9 letters. So it's spelled THINWENTU. I have to spell the name very well. And there's an N somewhere that's just very silent. So my name has some pizzazz to it. So so it's called, I'm called Chiwendu, by the way, Chiwendu Ibe. And I have always been fascinated about people, how they communicate, how they express themselves, how they tell stories. I remember being in college and my college roommate she'd always say, let's say for example, if I'm watching a music, for example, and I'm super, fascinated by this musician, I want to know if their siblings are singers. I want to know if their mom used to sing. So I have this idea behind my mind going like, I want to know the story behind the person. So I always know their history. And she'd be like, let me guess, you know their grandma too? And I'm like, yeah, I do. So it's always been that running, I would say running joke, but that running narrative, right? So I think I've always been curious about people and how they communicate and how they express themselves. Now, some kids are born and you notice this kid is just a talker, and some kids are born and they're very reserved, right? You watch them develop and they're very quiet, they're not talkers. So I'm the latter. I'm the kid who talked and had so much to say. So that's why I kind of like would always watch people who speak, public speakers, and the difference between you getting a response. Let's say for example, you walk into a restaurant, right? So there's a mistake in your food, there's a mistake in your order. There's a way you communicate it and the waiter will be like, no worries. And then there's a way you communicate and they just get pissed off by your response. So there's just good communication and not so good communication. So that has always been so hence the question, are public speakers, are they born or are they made, right? People say kings are born, kings are made. But I would say they're born. It doesn't mean that there's a lot of training that goes into being a king, but automatically, let's say Prince William, for example, like when he was born, automatically he was a king. Now, are they going to be training? Are they going to be coaching, etiquette, classes, things that he has to be taught, discipline, respect, courtesy? Absolutely. But I think public speakers are born, and that's my side of the debate, right? A lot of people that have interviewed have said public speakers, they're made, they learn about public speaking, they teach them. Yeah, but I think my argument is that they're born. Now, I'm gonna start point 1. Why Confront the Mic started. It started off with just as I mentioned, a desire to like really see the story behind how people become speakers. I'd love to know how Martin Luther became like the speaker that he was. Was he a speaker? Was he a talker as a kid? Did he, hold public speeches? Did he bring people together in a public setting? I'm just very fascinated about the story behind the person, right? Confront the Mic started off with a need to, gain clarity on like speaking and tools that people use to make themselves more effective. Like, for example, you have Steve Harvey, who was someone who stuttered a lot, and now he communicates in his own unique way. But nonetheless, if you think of a speaker, someone who's on TV, Steve Harvey is one of those people who, his words have made him millions and millions of dollars just by speaking, by talking, by holding conversations, by hosting shows, by being in the public eye. Like, it's something nobody can take away from him. And if you hear him talk, he has a peculiar way that he communicates. So that's what really started off Confront the Mic. So now, when you are doing field work, right, you prepare for the worst case scenario. This event I'm going to talk about is when my camera died, right? I set my camera. When I set the camera, I start interacting with people. Hi, do you want to be on camera? Would you like to be in interviews? I'm collecting stories about public speaking. People say no, which is fine. People have the right to, where they appear, how they use their time. And I heard a lot of no's. I think I was standing for like 30 minutes, and I had conversation with the girls that you saw me post. And then there was someone, behind. That's why most of the times when I'm in a view, I'm not just like facing the front camera, like the camera I'm facing it right now. I'm turning back. I'm looking on the side. I'm turning sideways because I want to get a complete view because I don't know what's happening behind me. So fortunately for me, there was this kid. He was passing by and we made eye contact. I'm like, hey, hi. And he's like, hi. I'm like, hey, you want to be on camera? He's like, I'm very late. I'm late for class. I'm like, I'm not going to take so much time. And the thing is that one thing I've learned is if you tell people you're not going to take their time, like you're going to be respectful of their time, just be respectful of their time. Because if I tell you, oh, I'm not going to take so much time, and I'm like dragging a question and you're like 8 minutes in, he's like, I'm late for class. So he hops on camera, very quick interview. I'm going to post it. And at some point, I tell him, thank you so much for being on camera. And he jets off to his class. And I turn and I looked at the mic and I looked at the camera and I'm like, oh God, I've lost the camera. The battery's dead. So I'm just like, try not to panic, right? And one thing is that even as I film, I have my digital camera. That's the one I'm using right now. And I have my phone camera, which is in my hand. This is the phone camera that I use. And I was like, okay, don't panic. And I checked my phone. My phone was still running because my phone battery life is stronger than the camera's battery life. So you just prepare for the inevitable. That's one of those things that I'm learning as I go on. And granted, I haven't been doing this for a long time, but I think like literally planning for things that are going to go wrong. And yes, another story I wanted to share is getting kicked out of a campus while filming. Now, different campuses, different schools have different rules and regulations for how they want their institution to be represented on camera. They don't want to be attached to any specific YouTuber or media person. Like there's steps to getting permits to be filmed there. So I didn't know. I'm like in their campus, I finished interviewing one person and I was just in high spirits. I was so happy. And I saw someone coming towards me and I was like, hi, do you want to be on camera? And she's scrolling through her phone and I was like, oh, I was like, hi, I'm doing an interview. She's like, you're not supposed to be filming here. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And she's like, shut down whatever this is. Just shut it down. You're not supposed to be filming here. I was like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to film here. And I was like, who do I talk to? She's like, you have to go through the media team. And she walks across and she's talking to the security guard across me. And I'm just like, I have to think fast because number one is the sunlight is not my friend. At a specific time, I'm literally working with time, with the sun. I'm just trying to phrase it in a very, correct way. But I'm literally saying, I literally had to be like, okay, I'm going to pack my camera. And outside of the campus, there were people protesting. So you're hearing, there's an interview I'm going to post that you're going to be hearing people, chanting behind the scenes. There was a protest going on. So I'm just like, okay, how do I do this? So I grabbed my tripod. I had 2 tripods. So there's my tripod, which I'm filming now, which is the digital camera. And then there's my phone, which is another tripod. So 2 tripods and a mic. So I'm like carrying the bags and carrying everything. I'm just like, okay, let's figure out, let's just let's keep going, because you don't have time to sit there and sulk, right? That's not, time doesn't really, you don't have time, to do that at that point in time. So I drag my tripod and I set it up. So I notice there's a piece of my mic. There's what they call cat's hair. It's like a little filter. It filters the mic when you're talking. And I noticed, I was like, oh, I don't know where the cat's hair fell down. Is it on the floor? Is it somewhere in the grass? I mean, granted, I can go back and start looking for it, but I'm like, I can have more than enough options to look for this stuff, and it's gonna eat into my time. And it's just count it as one of those things that you're gonna, it's going to be part of the cost of doing what you're doing now. So that's one of the example of field work is not, I would say it's not for the faint of heart. Granted, there's more people who have been interviewing can tell you a lot of stories, and it's not like woe is me and see what happened to me, but it's more or less like when you're going after a dream or going after this cost behind it. You hear a ton of no's. Like the interviews I've done, you hear people, I'm busy, sorry, I'm not, I can't. Some people just kind of stare at your phone and walk past by you without making eye contact. You see a ton of rejection, but just stand, because I think the end result is that you eventually meet someone who says yes to you, and it just, you have this meaningful conversation, you have amazing stories, you have laughs together, and you've captured a story that will live on, people's stories, human stories. So that's one thing that come to mind. I want to look at my second point, because I have these things written out. Yeah, I also mentioned respecting people's time, right? If you tell someone, oh, I'm gonna be quick, don't keep them there waiting, because I just think that it's just human decency to just be respectful. I'm like, okay, I told you I'm gonna keep you 2 minutes. I just kind of talk fast and just make the interview go seamlessly, and just let them go, because their time is what they're giving to you. I talked about waiting. I talked about working with daylight. So a lot of the times it's timing, right? So if you're filming in a campus or filming outside a campus, in my case, there are times where people are having class, the times where people are in their lunch break, the times where people are coming out of their class, there's the ray of sunlight, there's overcast skies. So you're working with different elements. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to show, or it could be rain, or it could be snow, or it could be so you just never know. So I'm always looking at my weather app going okay, what's out there waiting for me? What am I going to see today? So yeah, so I think that there's so many, behind the scenes things versus, what you don't know. You just never know until you're out there. You can have this vision of your head, and I think that a lot of channels that did inspire me were Salary Transparent Street, School of Hard Knocks, and I loved how the guy, I don't know his name, he would approach a lot of rich people and he's like, oh, I have such and such amount of viewers of my channel, and some of them was just like, dude, I don't want to talk to you. And then he just keeps on moving, but he's just so dogged in how he gets his, interviews. He's not rude about it, but he's just pursuing the goal every single interview. I watch it and just the inspiration is amazing. The inspiration is amazing. And then there's my last point, which is perfection versus starting. I think I had this mic. If I check my Amazon history, I had this mic in 2025. And I would always say, okay, I'm not ready yet. I need an extra camera. I need a better lighting. I just think it's not ready. And I had this idea that God kind of dropped in my mind a couple of 2025, 2024. I'd always journal. And I would check my previous journals. I'm like, Trina, you're passionate about asking people questions. Why don't you start this channel? And I'm like, it's not ready. It's not. Even still till now, I just don't still feel ready. But I think in all that's being said, right? When history is being told, you don't want to be that person who had this collection of lenses and cameras and stories that you didn't tell, or books that you never wrote. Miles Monroe would always say, the richest place in the world, it's not the gold mines of different countries. It's not the oil wells. It's the graveyard. So I think most of the times we're carrying dreams in our hearts. We're carrying stories. We're carrying books. We're carrying ideas. We're carrying creativity. And just because it's not perfect, I don't want to look like I don't want to look crazy. I don't want to look cringe. Like, look cringe in what context, right? So there's perfection versus just doing it, right? And I think that Confront the Mic came out of a desire to really ask questions, right? I think sometimes there's questions that you want to ask and you just don't know how to phrase it. And you get clarity as you ask the questions. You may look like an idiot the first time. Yeah, I heard something. Someone says, I forgot the person I'm trying to credit the person who said this thing. She said her dad told her that you don't know. Yeah, it's TD Jakes. It's Sarah Jakes. She said her dad said when you're asking a question, the first time you may not know, right? You may look like an idiot, but that only happens once, because once you get the information and you ask, like you've gone past the stage of not knowing. So it's starting versus perfection. Like my skill right now, I know it sounds very weird to say, but I always tell myself I can talk to anybody. I can talk to anybody. Just give me a person in front of me. First of all, I think a lot of the times of like jobs that I've done, it's placed me in front of people and it's given me this skill, this human skill, and it's still a skill that is being built constantly and continuously. I think I always say I can talk to anybody. If someone, let's say for example, a woman comes out from, let's say she comes in front of me, right? First thing I notice, I'm like, her outfit is amazing, and I'm like, hey, your outfit is amazing, and people love when you compliment them, and then they just, where did you get the outfit from? And it's not being disingenuous, right? Because I grew up around fashion again. So it's like genuinely seeing people and complimenting them, and then it just kind of makes them kind of loosen up a little, because everybody's like fighting a battle behind the scene that we're not aware of. But that opens a gateway for you to be able to like ask them, oh, I noticed an accent as you were talking, where you're from, oh, I knew this person, I had a friend from your country, and then it just skyrockets this amazing interaction. So yeah, I think the summary of everything is that you're gonna be seeing so many stories coming out as the time goes on, and I think that these conversations need to be had. And you're gonna be seeing me in campuses, you're gonna be seeing me on the street, you're gonna be seeing me pretty much. You just never know what city I'm gonna just pop into and just with a mic and a camera and ask my questions. And I just hope that this inspires you to like go after your dreams. Like, don't wait. Tomorrow is a gift. People say tomorrow is just tomorrow, and then tomorrow is another tomorrow, and then there's always tomorrow coming that's just never coming. So my thing is my advice to myself, right? I'm talking to myself. So the conclusion of the matter is, right, just go after whatever God has placed in your heart, and have fun while doing it. It's very uncertain, it's very unpredictable. I think I heard a lot of my first interview. You would see a lot of times I was like reading off stuff, like I would stumble on my words. But I think the more you do it, the better you become. The more you kind of sharpen that pencil, the more useful it is to you. The more you sharpen that skill, the more you watch a lot of people. I think for me, I watch a ton of straight interviews of like School of Hard Knocks and Salary Transparent Street, and just asking people questions. You also having a smile on your face, because you can't just be just like mean mugging. I'm like, hey, wow, how's your day going? People have a lot of things going on. The last thing they want is some angry person with a mic in front of them. People want to just feel like a load has been taken off of them. So yeah, I hope this has given you a room to know the person behind the mic, and I will be popping in. I'll be popping in here and there, and we'll see. Hope you have an amazing day. Take care of yourself now. Bye bye. Thank you.